Greetings and welcome to Sleep Stories, a peaceful time capsule. We're going to go on a leisurely, cosmic exploration today that will take us well beyond our atmosphere and into our own solar system. We will touch the surfaces of far-off worlds and dance with the stars. Let us find solace in the present moment before venturing into the enchantment of space. Let yourself sink into the mattress when lying flat in bed. Isn't it pleasant to lie down somewhere where you may unwind completely? Here, there are no expectations. All you can do is give your body the good night's sleep it so richly deserves. Imagine your body becoming weightless with each breath, a space traveler. Imagine your muscles losing all of their strain and tension. Imagine your neck's muscles becoming more relaxed. Experience the immediate relief that flows over you as your muscles bury themselves in the soft pillow underneath. You imagine yourself floating effortlessly above the bed now, with your shoulders and back completely relaxing and providing you with a lovely sense of relief. Take this weightless sensation with you and find solace in it as I start my story and we float over space. Tonight, you may give your body the complete and absolute relaxation it deserves. Let's start exploring our cosmic garden now that we've had a chance to relax. Picture yourself in a nice little pod. It feels like a cloud is cradling you as you lie on a luxurious mattress that is so inviting and cozy. The pod almost gives you the impression that you are in a warm cabin on a chilly winter day because of its rich mahogany, wood accents, and soft, inviting textiles. A mosaic of nature is displayed before your very eyes as the vines of various leafy plants entwine with one another above you, decorating the ceiling in gorgeous shades of green. However, the true beauty is located to your right. The entire pod, from floor to ceiling, is covered by a curving window. A blue spherical amid a sea of pitch black sky is visible beyond the window. It is incredibly gorgeous, crisscrossed with puffs of cotton clouds and swirls of white, whirling ever so gently, like a living marble. A mosaic of hues may be seen amid all the blue, including the fiery reds of African deserts, the vivid greens of the Brazilian rainforest, and the sepia mountaintops that appear so tiny at this moment. From this vantage point, our home appears nearly more stunning than it has ever been. As you stare in awe as twilight spreads across this flawless miniature globe, you are hundreds of miles above Africa. You may witness the illumination of ancient cities in China, India, and Russia. Like fireflies in a jar, each cluster of light represents a different city, with hundreds of houses standing side by side to remind space of their existence. The world appears very different in the sunlight. Across oceans and continents, there are dazzling white swirls that float against the atmosphere and spiral in captivating patterns. You can see the surface's topography in between these fuzzy white coverings. The Mediterranean Sea is visible, with its stunning turquoise strips and marbled blue streaks winding around the borders of Italy and Greece. The Swiss Alps slope, rise, and fall, with their white and granite peaks almost glittering against the evergreen land below. Is visible in the distance, as are the waves of the Atlas Mountains below. You experience a brief wave of awe and longing, feeling the cool contact of the glass. You press your hand against the window. You consider how many people are going about their everyday lives. In one of the Asian cities, as you look out at its glittering lights, people are getting married, enjoying the time of their lives, and lounging on their couches while watching movies. If you shift your gaze to the left, you will see a mountain range. Tucked down in the shadows are villages and towns. You picture tranquil families working the land during the day and sleeping in bed at night, while taking in the sounds of the natural world. The globe appears so interconnected from here. The borders between nations and continents are all hazy. Together, until they are all working toward the same goal and occupying the same area. Imagine all the wonders that are just beyond that atmosphere. The verdant forests, the Arctic's simplicity and tenacity, the meandering rivers, and the valleys teeming with both plant and wildlife. How blessed we are to live in a place that offers us so much. We are incredibly lucky for a variety of reasons. In our enormous solar system, the Earth is the only planet capable of supporting life. We are approximately 3 million miles from the Sun is the ideal distance for giving us the warmth, sunlight, and above all energy we require. The ideal combination, oxygen, argon, and a few more elements that function almost like a jacket make up the 6 layers that make up our atmosphere. By retaining solar energy, these layers provide the ideal conditions for life to exist. These layers, like a jacket, also keep dangerous objects away from the Earth's surface, keeping meteorites and UV radiation at bay. All of the Earth's elements are in accidental connection with one another, in addition to providing us with protection. The atmosphere provides a home for microbes, plants, and animals. In turn, the microbes, plants, and animals support each other's growth. There is a lovely harmony occurring all around us. From the plants that give us oxygen to the creatures that pollinate the soil and maintain the delicate balance of our forests. We still find ourselves searching for answers and more, even in the midst of that harmony and the abundance of our beautiful world. We have always been enthralled by the stars, whether we are lying in the cool grass on a summer day, gazing up at the sky after a night out in the city, or even just taking a quick look out our window. With a long history, astronomy is the oldest of the natural sciences. Humans and their ancestors have been sitting around roaring fires and gazing up at the sky in awe for thousands of years. There are temples devoted to the sun and stars scattered throughout the planet, from Central America to the Middle East, including Paleolithic cave drawings that show stars. Our natural, primordial urge to fantasize about worlds beyond our own provides solace. For this reason, we are going to explore the furthest reaches tonight of our solar system to fully appreciate its charm, beauty, and mystique. We start our voyage 67 miles from Earth. To be exact, 8 million kilometers distant. Here, you are drifting calmly next to Mercury, which is the planet nearest to the Sun. To your left, the Sun is shining. For 4 billion years, the cosmos has been powered by a huge ball of hydrogen and helium. 6 billion years. From this vantage point, it appears to be nothing more than a lamp hanging over the chamber that is our universe. A dazzling white light. In contrast to the dark expanse of space, it shines brightly, almost defiantly. Everything we require for survival is provided by the light, power, and energy that a star emits. That energy is also transferred to Mercury. Mercury appears to be a silvery gray planet when you look down at its surface. It resembles our moon in appearance and is actually quite similar in size to the moon of Earth. The textures that rise and fall across the rocky surface of Mercury are what give it its attractiveness. With each mile comes a new geography, a new collection of landmarks, and a new shade of silver. You gently drift over this world of craters, valleys, and mountains. Mercury's gray surface has deep, bowl-shaped rings etched into it. The lump of clay with the smooth fingerprints left behind almost gives the impression that it is an artwork. Over millions of years, meteorites impacted with the Earth, leaving behind these ridges and craters as impressions. These meteors, which are heaps of rock, ice, and metals that have spiraled off comet tails or fell away from asteroids traveling through space, are responsible for the formation of each individual crater after a trip of millions of miles. These craters abound on Mercury, whose surface has been completely shaped by the will of the nearby comets and asteroids. You look down into these craters as you fly over and picture yourself there. Can you picture yourself gazing up at the ethereal summit of a lofty, gray mountain that is directly behind you and silhouetted by the white sun? Picture the dust in space moving and dancing about your feet with each step you take. You can see the tiny silver particles moving for the first time since they were initially dispersed around the world, shimmering in the sunlight for millennia. Mercury has been a mysterious, and fascinating planet. The Roman messenger god, who was renowned for his agility, inspired the name. Mercury is only seen from the Earth's surface during brief, lovely periods around twilight because it is so near to the Sun, roughly 36 million miles. The ancient Romans, who frequently found themselves gazing up at the sky as we do today, studied and admired its fleeting aspect. You give Mercury's rugged and untamed surface one final glance. Your gaze travels between ridges of craters and up and down from expanses of smooth rock. Your comfortable pod glides smoothly to the next amazing planet in our solar system, which is arguably one of the most gorgeous, as you bid Mercury farewell. As you gaze out your window at a Venus, you find yourself wrapped up in your cozy blanket and slipping into your mattress like oil spinning on top of a globe of water. Gorgeous, dense clouds that are white and golden swirl around the Earth. This hazy cloud cover is permanent. It is a dense storm that is imprisoned in the planet's atmosphere forever. Carbon dioxide makes up nearly all of the clouds, even if they appear stunning from a distance, swaying and spinning about the Earth with such ease. You wouldn't want to travel through a storm. Almost continuously, sulfuric rain falls from these dense clouds onto Venus' surface. As a rainstorm that has neither start or finish, thick drops of rain continue to fall from the sky. Outside your comfortable pod, you can almost hear the rain. As you pay great attention, you picture each drop dancing around the roof and breaking apart until it starts to fall down the window. As each drop gradually moves across the glass, combining with other droplets and then separating on their own. As they reach the bottom of the window, you picture the streaks that each drop will create on the pane. Even on distant planets, you can hear the rhythm of the rain, which never stops pouring and crashing in unison. It is one of nature's most beautiful symphonies. Venus's surface is a whole other planet under this dazzling storm and cloud. As you get closer to the planet, you can make out faint glimpses of a world below. Venus's surface is stunning, hilly, and a stunning rusty hue. Venus has no craters, in contrast to Mercury. No meteors can reach the planet's interior due to the storm in its atmosphere. Rather, Venus offers a scenery that is comparable to Earth's mountains and valleys. Large undulating plains of vivid red soil make up a large portion of Venus. These plains extend in both directions until they meet the planets strewn about mountains and volcanoes. The clouds appear to touch the mountains, some of which are higher than Everest. They are covered in rugged features and spherical domes that were created by a lava flow that occurred a century ago. Smoke plumes dance up to meet the clouds above after rising from earthen fissures. Imagine traversing this terrain by boat, circling the enormous mountains, descending, and sprinting along the level plains and plateau basins. You are protected from the actual elements that impact Venus' surface while remaining cozy and safe within your pod. Heat is trapped on Venus as a result of the dense clouds in its atmosphere, while Venus is the hottest planet in our solar system. Despite not being the nearest to the Sun, with daytime temperatures as high as 880 degrees, we take a step back from Venus's surface and gaze once more at the planet's dazzling atmosphere in what appear to be exquisite brushstrokes. The various tones of yellow and white flow freely across the world. However, those colorful gossamers do contain a few dark areas. Some scientists think that these black patches, which are chemically made to absorb UV light from the sun, may be evidence of the presence of microbial life on Venus. Take a moment to think about how fascinating the idea of life on Venus is. Consider the fluctuating and surviving microbiological life in Venus's atmosphere, which is like a cosmic stew. Since its initial discovery, Venus has been a planet full of wonder. Venus reflects the majority of the light that the sun emits due to the composition of its atmosphere. This makes Venus, which resembles an exceptionally bright star, visible. From Earth, it is also the source of the Roman goddess of beauty that bears its name. It's difficult to believe that thousands of years ago, our ancestors cherished and admired the very world we may gaze upon now. The stars that linger just above us will always bind us to the people we have left behind. You take one more glance at Venus, admiring the beauty of its constant storm and its marbled hues. We would arrive at Earth next if we were indeed traveling in a straight path across the planets in our solar system. We still have kilometers to travel, stardust to snare ourselves in, and other worlds to discover. Therefore, it is not yet time for us to return home. Therefore, when we continue our cosmic journey to the next planet, Mars, we shall pass Earth from a distance, marveling at its collage of blues, whites, greens, and browns. The closest planet to Earth is Mars, which is millions of kilometers away. Many people also think that Mars is close to us in a number of different ways. Mars appears as a rusty red spherical from a distance. In contrast to the black background of space, it sparkles brilliantly. However, a completely different kind of planet emerges as your pod gets closer and closer to Mars. Itself. World with stunning scenery and a range of deep red, orange, and black hues. A straightforward chemical reaction painted the terrain of Mars with a reddish hue. Iron makes up the majority of Mars' crust. Traces of oxygen in Mars' meager atmosphere gradually interacted with that iron, Mars changed from a dark planet to the magnificent red world it is today, with that one simple reply. As the reddish-orange planet gets closer, you gaze out. The Romans named the planet after their god of war because they thought it was spectacular in terms of color alone. However, it becomes evident that nothing on Earth depicts battle as you go closer to the surface. It is a very similar planet to our own. Long, wind-swept red sandstone meadows give way to rough, jagged cliffs that tower like monoliths. It seems nearly unbelievable that the mountains, which are so similar to our own, could exist in such a strange region. The mountain's ridges range from crimson to dark, subdued brick tones, and their great peaks are made of stone that has been dyed by burnt ember. The topography of our beloved Earth appears to be reflected in more than simply the mountains. You may see what appear to be long, meandering riverbeds, ravines, and basins as you gaze out over the immense expanse of the planet. You are staring at a world that has been sculpted over thousands of years by water. There used to be lakes, rivers, and oceans on Mars. For a few period, you gaze into the deserted trenches and attempt to visualize the water flowing through the bleak crimson terrain. An ocean similar to our own would exist in the large basin underneath you, its blue water glistening brilliantly against the rusty earth. Rivers would meander through the arid riverbeds, gliding above rocks and tumbling down mountains like hazy waterfalls. However, Mars is currently a frigid planet devoid of any notable lakes, rivers, or oceans. Tucked up in its polar ice covers lies what little water Mars still has. Your pod ascends to the summit of Mars, where one of the planet's polar ice caps is located. Large waves of the white ice cover are scattered around the planet's top. Like the smooth rocks on Everest, rounded arcs of Mars' red rocks emerge from the ice. As they tumble out from the center like a hypnotic spiral, the ice caps swirling. Pattern is mesmerizing. Your eyes seem heavier, and the mattress underneath you cradles your relaxed body further as you gaze into it. Ice and carbon dioxide, ice sometimes referred to as dry ice, make up the majority of the ice caps on Mars. As you glide effortlessly past the mountains and polar ice caps, night falls on Mars. You look up at the sky and notice big, fluffy snowflakes. Strong downward currents are produced by the fast cooling of ice droplets in the atmosphere after sunset on the Martian night. These cooled ice droplets are drawn to the surface by these currents, forming microbursts of snow above your head. The snow flakes and falls through the air in a manner that is nearly analogous to a snowfall on Earth. You concentrate on one snowflake in particular as it spirals and twists its way toward the planet's ember-red surface. The snowflake is the only one that fails. Snow falls frequently from the atmosphere, but hardly ever lands on Earth. The microburst has ceased as quickly as it started, leaving the sky dominated by clouds. Scientists are hopeful about the future of humanity for a number of reasons, including Mars. The steep plains in Nevada or Utah are nearly reflected in the jagged peaks and crimson dirt. Additionally, despite Mars's arid and frigid atmosphere, there is potential visible everywhere. You start to distance yourself from Mars. You see the valleys and mountains turn into nothing more than colored swaths etched on a red background. You start the journey to the next planet in our solar system while still feeling awed by Mars' magnificence. You wrap your blankets tightly around yourself, and it's difficult to overlook this world. From a distance, it appears as a strange orb that resembles reddish sand. As you get closer to the planet, you can see the colors rotating in dozens of strips around the globe, each with a different hue and pace. Jupiter is this planet. The creation date was 5 billion years ago. Is frequently regarded as our solar system's first planet to form. The planet is composed of stunning color bands. The layers of color appear in swirls with eddying light, and dark patches in each sweep of color, resembling watercolors applied to a clear marble surface, like mountains rising against a clear sky. There are bands of white and neutral sand nestled against bright red regions that bleed into lighter hues. As these colors swirl around the enormous planet in ceaseless motion, you can't help but stare in wonder for a while. These hues are gaseous clouds found in Jupiter's atmosphere, which is 44 miles thick, storm-prone, and composed of a wide variety of chemicals. Actually, gas makes up almost all of Jupiter. There is no solid surface on the planet. Rather, a collection of hydrogen and helium gases surrounds its core, which is thought to be a dense liquid. The planet is one of the most beautiful in our solar system because of these gases. It is always changing and evolving, much like a moving artwork. You start to feel grateful that our solar system has such a lovely item. In actuality, we have many reasons to be grateful for Jupiter. One of the main factors that allowed our solar system to form as it has is Jupiter. Aside from the Sun, Jupiter, the largest planet in our solar system, has the highest gravitational attraction. This indicates that a large number of meteors and asteroids that could have harmed other planets were drawn in the direction of Jupiter instead. Even though Jupiter is millions of miles distant, we should take solace in the fact that it is, in a sense, Earth's shield. Jupiter, which bears the name of the ruler of the Roman gods, has drawn interest from astronomers and scientists worldwide for reasons other than the planet itself. There are 79 known moons of Jupiter. You can't help but gaze around at the gleaming moons that calmly orbit Jupiter as your pod pulls away from it. Io, Ganymede, Callisto, and Europa are referred to as the Galilean satellites because Galileo discovered them in 1610. But the thing that most grabs your attention is Europa. Splashes of color cover the globe, and red and blue fractures line its white surface, with lines flowing down around the edges in lengthy, winding strokes. It resembles a delicately broken egg. Europa's crust is formed of water and ice, while its atmosphere is primarily made up of oxygen, which explains why there aren't any craters or mountains visible on the surface. Numerous scientists think that life lives on Europa, which is a very long way from Earth, since there are still more planets to discover. That option will stay a mystery for the time being. The bright rings of Saturn are already visible in the distance from Jupiter. Similar to Jupiter, Saturn is made up of many colors of orange, brown, and sand that swirl around the planet like cosmic storms. Saturn's most common color is a gorgeous gold that results from ammonia crystals in the atmosphere that form golden clouds. Saturn is made entirely of gases and lacks a surface. Like the majority of the outer planets and liquids. Although Saturn's clouds have amazing hues, it's the rings that catch your eye. Each of the 7 rings portions is composed of ice and rocks from comets, moons, and asteroids. The rings, which range in opacity from a thin, golden haze to a broad golden band, encircle the planet in a blur. Several of Saturn's 50 known moons, referred to as shepherding moons, are responsible for maintaining these rings. Use their gravitational pull to maintain the rings' flawless round shape as they circle between them. You look up to see the rings glisten in the sunlight as your pod plunges through them on its way back to the vastness of space. Above you, the sky is illuminated in a rippling pattern of white and gold as the dust particles absorb the light. The outermost planets, which are also the coldest, are getting closer to us. Fortunately, your pod keeps you warm and protected. You curl up under your blankets even more, while you wait for the next marvel to show up outside your window. You feel a wave of tranquility when you see it. The planet Uranus is blue and like an ocean. The planet, which is mostly composed of water, ice, and ammonia, gleams with sapphire, azure, and cerulean blue waves. It appears to be the most hospitable ocean in the universe, a world that could compete with the most exquisite sea in a fairy tale. In a sea of glistening blue, you picture yourself drifting calmly among tropical waves. You can almost feel the water rubbing against your skin as the sea's rhythm lulls you to sleep. Even if Uranus appears to be a magical paradise, you won't. Find a comfortable ocean, swim there. The coldest planet in our solar system is Uranus, which can easily reach minus 370 degrees Fahrenheit. In addition, the planet is unique in that it is the only one in our solar system with a 90-degree tilt. Uranus was permanently tilted on its axis due to a collision with a heavenly body millions of years ago. Even its 13 dazzling blue rings revolve vertically around Uranus as opposed to horizontally. Breathe deeply as we start to move away from Uranus. Tonight, we are getting closer to the last planet on our lengthy and leisurely voyage across the solar system. The Roman ocean deity is the loving inspiration for Neptune's name. It becomes abundantly evident how fittingly called this celestial entity is as the enormous planet comes into view. Neptune resembles a globe surrounded by a huge, whirling ocean. A dark blue planet is surrounded by gossamers of white and light blue clouds. The way the light and dark hues blend together is genuinely reminiscent of viewing the oceans of Earth from orbit. The atmosphere that covers a surface of pressured water, methane, and ammonia is made up of dense clouds and methane, which gives rise to these colors. At up to 1,200 miles per hour, the atmosphere creates storms that are unlike any other in the universe. These storms never stop circling the far-off planet. One big moon is more brilliant than the others in Neptune's atmosphere. The biggest moon of Neptune, Triton, has a frost-like surface of frozen nitrogen that gives the planet an icy, reflecting appearance. You can't help but be in awe of all the wonders this solar system has to offer as you fly past Triton on your route back to Earth. The universe is a region of contrasts and mystery, from frozen moons covered in frost to hot desert planets made of red minerals. As the planets fly by in front of you, you curl up in bed more tightly. After passing Uranus, Saturn, Jupiter, and Mars, you find yourself moving in the direction of Earth. Your heart and mind are calmed by the well-known blues, greens, and whites. One of the greatest blessings is being able to live on a world so amazing in a cosmos so huge. You feel your eyes getting heavy as your pod gently lands as the mountains, rivers, and oceans get closer and closer to you. This place is home, and it's amazing. I hope this space voyage has made it easier for you to get a good night's sleep and restful slumber. Please feel free to join me for another story tomorrow if you liked this one. Thank you for listening, and have a good night until then. Cosmic voyage too high, and welcome to Sleep Stories on Soothing Pod. I'm Arif, and I'll be your guide tonight as we depart Earth and travel peacefully into the depths of our solar system, where we'll find colorful planets, stars, and cosmic. But before we start, let's pause for a moment to unwind and feel at ease in our surroundings. In your typical sleeping posture, let your body settle into the mattress. Give yourself a moment to truly enjoy the sensation of your body hugging you as it sinks further and deeper into the mattress beneath you. Keep in mind that there are no duties or expectations here. Now, all you need to do is let your body do what it does naturally while you listen to my speech. Your body is aware of your needs and will soon give you the rest you are due. As you carefully inhale, exhale, acknowledge the sensations in your body. Picture the night sky filled with small, glittering stars. Imagine those lights streaming in with your breath as you inhale, warming and comforting your chest. Observe how your muscles relax as the air nourishes your body, making the stars in your chest shine brighter. Imagine those stars rising to the ceiling above you as you exhale, sprinkling it with a cloud of sparkling stars. Keep doing this practice and remember that you can return to it whenever you feel comforted. As you breathe in, and when you exhale, those stars will take any anxiety you may have had with them as they float to the ceiling to rest. As you inhale, visualize the muscles in your neck gradually becoming more relaxed. And out. As you inhale, visualize your back and shoulder muscles gradually becoming more relaxed and out. Imagine your arms and legs gradually becoming less tense as those stars release all of the stress you've been holding. You can just be yourself here. Breathe with the stars and enjoy the comfort of your bed, which is your sanctuary, and know that you can always go back to this secure place no matter what. You carry the stars with you everywhere you go, so they're constantly with you. Let's start our adventure into the cosmos beyond Earth, into the cosmic backyard that we all share now that we have taken some time to unwind and feel at ease in our current location. You find yourself in the Earth's woods, far, far away. It's summer, and the tranquil sounds of the mountains at night fill the surrounding woodland. Crickets are chirping there. In the distance, owls can be heard hooting and chatting among themselves. Over the pine, tree-covered forest floor, the blaze at your feet is crackling a little louder because of the soft breeze that is dancing and changing among the trees. You can even hear a creek bubbling in the distance where deer, porcupines, and bunnies congregate during the day to drink. This is our planet, Earth, a world that offers us everything we require and more. All around you are verdant trees and plants that provide mouth-watering food. Every day of our lives, we are accompanied and amazed by our animal companions. We can relax and be refreshed by the chilly water of glacier-fed streams, and there are still more. There are canyons so deep that it appears as if the sky tore the land away from the ground. There are mountaintops so high that you can see for miles across the breathtaking scenery. Even the most jaded person on the planet can be moved to tears by the huge and vibrant fields of wildflowers. Then you are there, you with all of your peculiarities, tales, and wonderful attributes. You are the one who, just by existing, improves the world. You are the one who chooses to see a little bit more on this particular day. You return to your minuscule cabin where you will spend the night. It's a cabin with glass windows and walls held together by tiny mahogany frames. A soft bed covered in pillows and fluffy blankets sits in the middle of the space. A tiny wood burning fireplace in the room's corner is skillfully made of cast iron and adorned with tiny planets, stars, and moons. There is a tiny fire crackling in that wood stove, just enough to warm the small one-room house that will serve as your home. For the fanciful adventure that lies ahead of you and to ease you closer to sleep, you cuddle up on the pillows and lie down in the bed, tucking under the blankets. And then, very, very slowly, your trip starts. It seems as though you are floating when your tiny house emerges from the jungle with such ease and fluidity. You lie peacefully in bed and watch the scenery below you change. You press up and up and up, climbing higher and higher above the forest. Soon after, you are able to view the world and the woodland you have left behind from a whole new angle. Earth is poised in a sea of pitch-black darkness to your side. Swaths of fluffy white clouds decorate the sphere of blue and green, swirling and ghosting across the colorful terrain. And wow, what a colorful scene it is! Moments before, those mountains appeared to be enormous, but now they are simply sepia-toned paint strokes across the terrain, providing a striking contrast to the sun's rays. Thousands of kilometers away, Russia, Brazil, and Canada all have stunning expanses of emerald, sage, and evergreen woods that are thriving with their unique species, plants, and climates. The vast outback of Australia and the crimson of Mongolia's Gobi Desert are two examples. The oceans are another. It almost seems unbelievable how vividly blue New Zealand's coastlines are. Surrounded by verdant hills and forests, the Black Sea's waters are a kaleidoscope of light and dark blues. You feel at ease for a time when you lie in bed and gaze out at the planet, this living marble spinning in a vast black space. We live there. Your home is there, and it will be anxiously awaiting your return. You watch in awe as daylight spreads throughout Europe and Africa. As the cities come to life with color. The dazzling city lights gradually change the greens of their parks, the blue of the rivers flowing through the snow-capped mountains, and their white exterior. As the new day breaks, you look down and see Cairo, Florence, and Prague come to life. You briefly consider all of the inhabitants of those cities, as well as the stunning countryside that lies between them. All of those individuals with completely distinct interests, passions, and loves that you will never meet. In that moment, you acknowledge that kids will look up at the sky just like you do. At some point, after the day has subsided and they are comfortable, we all turn to the stars and the universe for solace and awe, since we are all interconnected and share this same experience. And how blessed we are to be in such a land of plenty. Those tall sepia mountaintops are there. Powerful rivers, such as the Nile and Yangtze, the bleak white Antarctic, the thick and untamed Amazonian jungle, Yosemite's imposing granite cliffs, Iceland's unearthly glaciers, and the blooming flowers in Scandinavia's fjords are all there. When you stand back and think about it, it is genuinely amazing. Even still, we find ourselves staring up into the dark sky for answers to questions we don't even know how to ask. Despite the fact that we are thriving off the plenty the lovely world has given us, we are constantly searching for our position in the world and the role of our world in the cosmos. We are not alone in this either. Since the beginning of time, our ancestors have been gazing up at the stars with the same nostalgia and the same curiosity. There are temples all over the world that are devoted to the stars and the mysteries and solutions they hold. Artwork found in caves demonstrate that even the earliest humans had a profound respect for the stars. Like us today, they sat around blazing fires and gazing out into space. And exactly like you are right now, sitting next to your wood stove in your small hut while looking out over the world. However, we must journey to the outermost regions of our solar system to observe the appearance of the other planets in order to fully comprehend how fortunate we are to call Earth home. At the very least, since Pluto was reclassified as a dwarf planet in 2006, we shall begin our voyage at the planet that is the furthest from Earth. The namesake of this planet is connected to the tales our forefathers told hundreds of years ago in an attempt to understand the cosmos. As the planet comes into view, it becomes very evident how Neptune earned its name. It was named after the Roman god of the seas. Neptune is a dazzling blue globe that appears unreal due to its numerous, vivid colors that emerge from the blackness of space. The planet has a deep, dark blue color and is encircled by a sea of white and sapphire clouds that swirl and seem to dance as it spins, idly around and about. But this planet has a certain quality that makes it far from idle. With winds of up to 1,200 miles per hour or 1,900 kilometers per hour, Neptune's atmosphere is continuously whirling with a strong, furious storm. Neptune is far from livable due to these unending and powerful storms. Yet they do add to the planet's beauty. Methane is the substance that makes up these beautiful, dense clouds that cover the planet's surface. A mixture of compressed water, methane, and ammonia makes up the invisible surface. As you look out at Neptune, you tuck yourself a little farther into your bed. You watch as a fuzzy white cloud circles the planet, which is 4 times as huge as Earth and has a lot more power. And that seems appropriate for a name like Neptune. You take a book about Roman mythology off the shelf next to you, while fire next to you continues to crackle, crackle, crackle. You turn the pages gently until you get to a section about Neptune. He is shown as a man with a trident in his hand, sitting on a chariot pulled by legendary seahorses, and with a hint of rage. You discover in those tattered pages that Neptune was not just the deity of water and the oceans, but also the deity of storms. As they set off over the oceans, on Earth, the same ones you seen daylight sweep over only moments. A good many individuals prayed to Neptune for good fortune and safe voyages. He was strong in his own right and could call forth storms at will. And he hasn't stopped here on his own planet. That this planet of pressurized water, which resembles a globe with vast oceans, would be his namesake seems perfectly appropriate. For a brief instant, you ponder what our prehistoric forebears may have thought if they had been observing the scene outside your window. There is an oddity next to Neptune, a big moon that shines brighter than the other 13 dots. A moon so bright that it almost resembles a star. Triton is the name of this moon, which is special for a number of reasons. It is the only big moon that rotates retrogradely, or in the opposite direction of the rotation of its parent planet. Additionally, it is thought to be a Kuiper belt object. Far beyond Neptune, close to Pluto, is a crescent-shaped collection of frozen planets known as the Kuiper belt. It is an area made up of ice and rock fragments that date back to the early history of our universe. Triton is believed to have been a part of the Kuiper belt, which includes Pluto, and was dragged in by Neptune's strong gravitational pull thousands and thousands of years ago. That contributes to Triton's striking resemblance to Pluto. Its silver surface is dotted with hills, pits created by frozen lava flows and icy plains. It's true that Triton has a lot of ice. Because of the moon's extreme cold, nitrogen makes up nearly all of its tiny atmosphere. which condenses as frost on the planet's surface. Around 70% of the sun's rays are reflected by this frost, giving Triton a gleaming, unearthly appearance. Once more, the mythology of our forefathers is the source of its name. Triton is named after the son of Poseidon, the Greek version of Neptune. Although you won't find anything about it in the Roman mythology book you still hold in your arms. After putting your book away, you recline in bed and enjoy the warmth of the wood burner next to your feet. With surfaces composed of gas and ice and temperatures well below -300 degrees Fahrenheit or -180 degrees Celsius, neither Neptune nor Triton would be habitable. You look at the wood that you collected from a pine tree in the forest near the cabin, wood that the earth gave you as it crackles beneath the orange flames. You have a renewed respect for the small, celestially crafted wood stove as you enjoy the warmth it produces. You bid Neptune, Triton, and the other 12 moons farewell. In silence, in silence. It feels like you are barely moving when your little cabin starts to move again, traveling across the galaxy at breakneck speed. Curled up in your cozy bed, you are not at all startled by the way space glides by as you dive around wayward asteroids, navigating the universe just like you are right now. You observe stars come and go. Taking a few deep breaths, you genuinely appreciate your current situation. After that, you spot something in the distance that keeps getting closer and closer until you discover another blue globe. But this time, it's tilted on its axis. Uranus, sometimes known as the sideways planet, is this planet. This is due to the fact that it is the only planet that turns on its side. Uranus' axis of rotation was tilted by a collision with a celestial body millions of years ago. Now, after all this time, the planet remains stationary in that same location while rotating and orbiting the sun. It also features bright blue circles that stand out against the space's black background. These 13 rings are the only planet that rotates vertically as opposed to horizontally. Similar to Neptune, Uranus is a blue globe that whirls with a mosaic of cyan, azure, and cerulean. It resembles an ocean taken from a children's book of fairy tales, with a planet full of fantastical creatures just beneath the surface. Serpents, mermaids, and other monsters that could only be commanded by a person like Poseidon or Neptune. Additionally, this planet has a storybook, fairy tale feel to it. The 26 moons of Uranus are named for characters from Alexander Pope's writings and Shakespeare, although the majority of moons are named after legendary figures. You may see the moons of Puck, Ophelia, Umbriel, Titania, Rosalind, Cordelia, Francisco, and Ferdinand, to name just a few. It's difficult to conceive how Alexander Pope or Shakespeare would feel about being given such a distinction named after their characters, moons they were unaware existed. You look at the collection of Alexander Pope's poetry on your bookshelves. The book is taken from the shelf by you. The snap of the ancient spine as you open it sounds like the crackle of the fire at your feet. The book smells ancient and worn, and it transports you to a comfortable rural library where you are sipping steaming tea. Your voyage through space continues when you curl up under your blankets and read the book. You are completely at rest. One of the biggest planets in our solar system, Saturn, is visible when you eventually look up from your reading. Furthermore, this bright planet's color is entirely different from anything you have ever seen. Brown, red, orange, and sand hues abound on Saturn, swirling and whirling about the planet, and occasionally gleaming in the sunlight. For good reason. There is a gold tone that is unlike anything you have ever seen. Saturn's atmosphere contains ammonia crystals that combine to form marigold clouds, which give the planet its characteristic gold hue. Saturn is essentially just covered in clouds. The planet is continually experiencing a cosmic storm, much like Neptune. Saturn has no surface. Instead, it is made up of just gases and liquids, specifically helium and hydrogen. And then there are the rings, of course. Some have a thick gold band, while others are opaque and milky. The thousands of ringlets that make up these 7 bands are formed of rock and ice that have been collected by comets, asteroids, and moons. This planet is named after the Roman god of agriculture, despite the fact that it has no surface. It is stated that humanity had a lot of food with little to no work under Saturn's rule. Nevertheless, Saturn only offers riches in the form of beauty. Life cannot exist on the planet itself, but several of its moons are thought to be able to. There are now 29 moons for a confirmation and 53 confirmed moons of Saturn. Scientists are interested in Enceladus and Titan because of the possibility that life could exist in their oceans. The next thing you know, you're floating in the direction of the next planet in our solar system. Before you know it, you're hovering over Jupiter, the largest planet. It is an enormous celestial body that is 11 times larger than Earth, and its beauty is simply unearthly. Jupiter, like a drop of water that has been lightly painted with small paintbrush strokes. These hues have a mystical swirl, resembling a mosaic of warm tones with flickering shadows and dazzling light. Upon closer inspection, you see that these hazy hues swirling about the Earth are simply clouds. The planet's center is thought to be a dense liquid of some type, whereas Jupiter's atmosphere is made up of gaseous clouds primarily formed of hydrogen and helium. Jupiter has the name of the Roman ruler. This name is appropriate for its title as the solar system's largest planet. Furthermore, with 79 identified moons, Jupiter has the most moons of any planet. That there would be 79 moons lighting up the sky at night if there was a surface of Jupiter to stand on is hard to accept. People from all across the world have taken notice of Europa, one of these moons, and not just because of its beauty. No other moon is like Europa. It is flooded in color, with a white surface covered with a web of fractures that are vividly red and blue in hue. All the way down the moon's surface, these fissures produce a completely distinct color pattern that is truly stunning. However, what really piques people's curiosity in this planet is its chemical makeup. Ice and water make up the atmosphere's surface, and oxygen makes up the majority of it. Given the presence of oxygen and water, life is thought to exist on Europa in some capacity. And what a fitting story it would be to have lived on the other side of the European water. The Greek myth of Zeus and Europa, in which Europa was carried across the Mediterranean, is the source of the moon's name. Zeus, who fell deeply in love with her, gave her the sea. On the island of Crete, she started a new life that was totally different from everyone else's. Indeed, if life exists on Europa, it is incredibly remote from the rest of our galaxy. Holding the blankets somewhat tighter under your chin, you draw them up over your torso. Right at your feet, the fire crackles. There are aged, cozy books all around you that tell tales of Greek and Roman myths and poetry. Before continuing to glide through space, you give Jupiter one final glance, taking in its colorful rings and overcast atmosphere. After then, you arrive at Mars, the planet nearest to our own. The comparatively little planet has a beautiful, intricate red, orange, black, and sand terrain. The iron that makes up Mars' crust is responsible for the reddish color. Ancient people, however, had a different theory about how that color originated. The Roman god of war, who was also Jupiter's son, is the inspiration behind the name Mars. Given Jupiter's warm tones, it makes sense that the gods of the two planets were named for would have a connection. Venus, the goddess of beauty and love, had an affair with Mars in Roman mythology. Even though we won't be going to Venus today, the fact that we can see both planets with the naked eye has a somewhat lyrical quality. Even though it lacks the life that we are so privileged to have, Mars' scenery looks strikingly similar to Earth's when viewed up close with the unaided eye. The southwestern United States is home to windswept, rust-colored plains that like they were taken from the desert, along with rugged cliffs, valleys, and mountains. Bright crimson and burnt ember are among the hues that are dazzlingly scattered throughout the landscape. The riverbeds and basins that crisscross the terrain, however, are the most unexpected features of the planet. Indescribable emotions are evoked when one sees such creations with only the earth in the distance and stars overhead. Water created Mars millions of years ago. Rivers, lakes, and oceans once existed, but they are long gone now, leaving just an impression on the earth. You glide past the lofty peaks and down into the deep canyons as you soar throughout this rocky and enchanted terrain. It is difficult to believe that life might have been here at one point. On Mars, the wind whips around you, creating clouds of dust. You move closer to the wood stove at your feet and cluster together a bit further. You have gained a newfound appreciation for our cosmos as a result of this experience and voyage. But now, another planet is calling your name. You slowly ascend from Mars and set off on your return trip to Earth. You can see that a complete day has gone by on the planet as you go closer and closer. Now that the day you watched sweeping across Europe and Africa is over, all those cities and towns are starting to light up as their residents take refuge in their comfortable homes for the night. You feel a level of calm that you have never known before when you are surrounded by the greens and blues of your home planet. A fresh admiration for this lovely planet that we name home has emerged. Out of all the moons you saw and all the planets you visited today, the only place where we can live comfortably is right here. You are in awe of the surroundings as you make your way back to your hilltop hideaway in the woods, taking in the sight of the luxuriant trees, the thriving meadows, and the bubbling streams. Something that you no longer will take for granted. Your small cabin gently touches down in the precise spot from whence it departed. Except for what your cabin's glow illuminates, the wilderness is pitch black. You approach and slide open the glass door. You feel energized as the clean air rushes over you. You may sense the woodsy scent of falling leaves, lavender, lilacs, and pines. The scent is that of home, that of home. You slip into bed and pull the covers up around your neck as the door is open and a calm, scented air blows in. You feel as though a weight is pressing down on you, has been removed from your burden. You find yourself drifting off to sleep. You're positive that you'll dream of far-off planets and the wonders that exist within our enigmatic and remarkable solar system. And you now embrace them. Even while we might not have all the answers, we might not need them. Maybe it's sufficient too. Stare up and wonder, knowing that everyone else is doing the same thing, and that everyone in history has done the same thing. Maybe we can be appreciative of what we have while yet wondering. With any luck, this narrative has helped you get a good night's sleep. Please join me for another sleep story tomorrow. Till then, have a wonderful dream. Marvels of the universe. Hi there, and welcome to Peaceful Slumber Stories in Time Capsules. I'm Marif, and you've come to the perfect place if you're looking for a soothing, dreamy story to listen to today. We shall explore the universe, our lovely planet, and everything in it in greater detail tonight as we embark on a voyage of wonder and discovery. Let's pause before we start to discover comfort and tranquility in our surroundings. Gently close your eyes as you let your body completely unwind on the mattress. Inhale deeply. You are in a safe spot, as is the pleasant room with the soft bed. Allowing yourself the relaxation you deserve is the only thing to do here. There are no demands. Imagine a golden radiance filling the room around you. The space is transformed into a paradise by the warm light. Imagine that golden light flooding your lungs with every breath. Feel the warmth pouring down your arms and legs till it tingles at the tips of your fingertips as it moves inward and expands into your chest. Imagine that golden light getting into your lungs more and more. Feel the tension in your body release as the warmth grows. Your neck, wrists, shoulders, and back are starting to loosen up and let the mattress fully support them. Feel the stress genuinely leave your body and vanishing into the atmosphere with each exhale, leaving only that calming sense of calmness in its place. Hold on to that spark inside of you as I start my story and we go on our trip together. Feel the golden light growing brighter inside of you with each breath. Let's start now that we are comfortable and at ease. On the New England shore, it was a cool July night. The air was touched by a small, frigid breeze that billowed the stark white curtains and shivered in the open windows of cottage summer dwellings. The planet was lulled to sleep by the wonderful soundscape created by the crickets and peepers, singing their song to the universe. However, nobody was sleeping. Ruby, who was 8 years old, was awake in her cozy twin bed. She felt the cool breeze caress her flushed cheeks as she rolled about in the fresh linen sheets. She was drawn to explore the world under the moonlight by the electricity that was in the air. Ruby was aware that there were rivers, valleys, and mountains to discover. Why fireflies would even be dancing across the pitch-black night sky at this time of night. She longed for the magic that was right outside her window, to sneak out there and see for herself. However, she felt drawn to something else. At first, she heard it faintly, so faint that she wasn't positive she had heard it at all. It had sound that was nearly like a fire crackling. She could almost see the embers blending with the remains of the fire from yesterday as they tumbled down to the ashy ground. With her feet hanging inches off the aged hardwood floor, Ruby gently sat up in her bed. She took Softy, a stuffed bear with silky brown fur and a lavender smell, out from under her pillow. She held Softy close to her chest and inhaled the calming lavender scent. She heard the rumbling once more as she crept into the hallway, but this time it was accompanied by another sound. She crept into the kitchen and used the few glints of moonlight that came in through the open windows to guide her down the hallway. There was a sleek black tea kettle next to the stove. From the spout, steam ascended, swirling slowly up in the atmosphere before vanishing into thin air. She heard the sound again in the kitchen, the warm, seductive crackle of a fire in the July night air. Taking a moment to consider whether or not to put on her shoes, she tiptoed to the door. The moment her feet touched the beautiful, dewy grass, she knew she had made the proper choice. She felt more and more alive with every stride she took on the grass, and each blade was chilly from hours of soaking in the moonlight. She could make out a tree grove in the distance, bathed in the light of a cozy bonfire. As the fire moved in the wind, the tree's shadows moved across the ground. She took deep, slow breaths that cooled her lungs in the most energizing way as she crept across the grass. She found the owner of the lovely campfire when she entered the grove. Ophelia, her mother, was lying by the fire in the grass. Ophelia gazed up at the sky in awe as the fire constantly cast a fresh, lovely glow across her face. Ophelia knew her kid was close by without even looking up. Her mother patted the grass next to her and said, "You and Softy can lay right beside me." Ruby smiled as she curled up next to her mommy in the grass. From the corner of her eye, she observed the fire's mosaic of hues, which included orange, red, and white hues that all blended together harmoniously. Then Ruby looked up at something. It was a lovely night without any clouds. She could see dozens of stars scattered throughout the sky this far from the city. They all shone brilliantly as they twinkled against the darkness. Her mother pointed to the brightest star in the sky with a raised finger. "Are you aware of the distance?" In a soft, low voice, she inquired. "That's the North Star, Polaris," Ruby said, shaking her head no. "It feels as though we could reach out and touch it, even though it is 323 light years away, doesn't it?" Her mom was correct. Even though they were millions and millions of kilometers away. All those glittering stars looked to be within arm's reach, making the sky feel so close to them now. "Why is it present?" With wide eyes, Ruby inquired. Her mom couldn't contain her joy. Although it was an honest and harmless question, it could not be readily or hastily answered. Gently, Ophelia extended her arm to raise her daughter's hand into the air. She swept it across the night sky in a colorful arch, like a magician beginning a trick. Ophelia answered, because all of this is here. Additionally, we are supposed to like it. In that sea of black, Ruby gazed up at Polaris, a true spectacle. Ophelia said, "My little Ruby, we are still very much connected to Polaris, despite the fact that it is millions and millions of miles away." Are you aware of why? Uncertain of the response, Ruby shook her head, utterly engrossed in the cosmic story playing out in front of her. Polaris is a component of the Milky Way, our galaxy. A stunning spiral of stars, planets, gases, and asteroids is the Milky Way. Everything we see in front of us is a part of the same community as ourselves. Even though we are on the outer border of the Milky Way, with millions of miles of stardust and cosmic wonder surrounding us, gravity holds us all together. Ruby's gaze remained fixed on the stars in the Milky Way. We are situated on a small arm, nestled inside a solar system, in one galaxy within a vast cosmos. We revolve around a big star in that solar system, which is perfectly positioned to provide for all of our needs. The trees above us and the grass below are turned green by the sun. Then, the cool night air that is currently filling our lungs is provided by those lovely plants, Ophelia added. Are you able to observe our connections? Ruby gave a slow nod. She saw that her hands were getting tangled in each leaf as they ran through the grass surrounding her. As our predecessors have done for ages, we are able to lie here and share stories with one another because of the sun and the Milky Way. Like us today, they used to congregate around fireplaces and attempt to make sense of the world. Ophelia gestured once more toward Polaris and moved her finger down and down till she delineated the Large Dipper. Invisible lines between the constellations were traced by Ruby's eyes as they moved across the sky. Since the beginning, Polaris and Ursa Minor, the constellation it belongs to, have supported us. Ophelia rolled on her side and spoke to her daughter. Mothers and daughters, just like you and I, laid around crackling fires thousands of years ago and talked about this very same thing. Back in the day, Ursa Minor, the wagon of heaven, was its name. It has guided humans northward and assisted them in narrating myths about fire, Zeus, and even dragons in every civilization throughout history. A smile of surprise and astonishment formed on Ruby's lips. Like us, people used to talk about them. She drew Softy closer to her chest as she begged. Individuals worldwide, from their thrones, kings and queens would gaze up at these same stars. In the moonlight, cavemen would paint star pictures on their walls. As they traveled across the ocean, pirates, sailors, and adventurers would take out their copper telescopes, look through their spyglasses, and use these same stars to direct them home or to other places. The stars have been used by civilizations all throughout the world to make calendars, predict future events, and make lifelong decisions. People have always talked about the stars, and will continue to do so, my lovely child. Ruby had a honey-like warmth that began in the middle of her chest and gradually moved down her arms, legs, and spine, before tracing down her veins to the very tips of her fingers and toes. And the stars and the universe connect us to more than just the past, Ruby. It's everywhere on this planet, Ophelia added. Imagine a girl your age playing on a beach somewhere in the Florida or maybe Brazil right now. Picture an old woman from her cottage in the Patagonian mountains gazing up at the sky. Ruby closed her eyes as her mother spoke. With palm trees swaying overhead, she could almost imagine a girl dancing on a Florida beach with white sand dipping her toes in the ocean. Each wave was subtly illuminated by the moon and stars reflecting off the ocean. The woman in the Patagonian mountains was the next image she saw, as she nursed a warm cup and relished the steam rising into the night air. Ruby could see the laugh wrinkles on her face and the gratitude gleaming in her eyes. She gazed up at the stars as well. Around the world, we are all going through the same things. Ophelia's voice was dreamy and musical. And it's not just the sky that we share. We share this beautiful planet together. All because a sun is burning just the right way, at just the right distance, in just the right place, at just the right time. From the lush treetops above, leaves tumbled over them as embers from the fire were thrown up into the air by a gust of that warm summer breeze that rippled across the grass surrounding them. We are able to enjoy this pleasant summer evening. The peepers join together in a chorus that is unlike any other, and we get to hear the crickets sing us their symphony. We are reminded to live in the present now by the gentle breeze tickling our skin and the sound of leaves falling on our bodies. As the glowing embers shower down all around us, we get to curl up by the crackling fire and enjoy its warmth. Ophelia seemed to illustrate her point by going silent for a while. Ruby listened to her surroundings while closing her eyes. She could imagine the crickets hiding in the cracks and crevices of the forest, hidden between the thick bark of the powerful oak trees and behind the leaves. And she could even hear their chirping. She could hear the peepers' well-known tweets as they drifted leisurely through the surrounding pond, enjoying the moonlight while slowly causing ripples to appear on the water's surface. She could even hear an owl's longing hoot echoing over the hills and between the trees in the distance. Ruby was encouraged to get up when she felt her mother's hand slide over hers. Ophelia guided her daughter slowly into the dense coniferous forest. With each tree they passed, Ruby could sense the crisp scent of the pine and cedar trees filling the air. They arrived at the clearing, which was encircled by vivid green hills and had a little pond situated in a deep valley. The waters beautiful, surface wonderfully mirrored the moon. The setting was so perfect and enchanted that Ruby almost thought a fairy or a sprite would emerge from the lake. She followed her mother down a crooked wooden dock. With each step they took, it creaked, a reassuring sound that served as a reminder to them. Was evident that this dock had endured for many years. The two sat with their bare feet hanging in the chilly pond water at the very edge of the dock. For a long time, they sat quietly, taking in the amazing ambience. Both of them could feel their bodies unfurling and untangling out here, releasing all of the stress and anxiety they had been carrying around all day. Ophelia submerged her hand in the water. Little droplets dropped from her fingertips as she withdrew her palm from the surface, creating ripples that gradually grew larger. As she spoke, she let a growing number of droplets fall from her fingertips. So few places in our solar system have water, she remarked, but we have a planet abundant with it. It seeps off rock faces and cascades over cliff faces in a torrent, sending up a misty gossamer when it hits the ground. It meanders across creeks, rivers, and streams. In addition to cleaning the earth and feeding the plants and our souls, it descends from the sky in dazzling storms, drizzles, and downpours. It turns the landscape into a winter wonderland as it freezes and unfreezes and descends from the sky in large, fluffy flakes. Ruby's little hand reached down into the pond. It swept over her skin in soft waves and curling arcs, feeling cool and comforting to the touch. Consider the many hues of the sea, such as the shallow turquoise waves that surround the Caribbean islands and are sufficiently translucent to reveal coral reefs brimming with life beneath the surface. Tease. The rust-colored, iron-rich canyons and mountains in Utah have been carved out by the blue-green flow of the state's meandering rivers for thousands of years. The boiling, kaleidoscopic colors of Yellowstone's thermal pools set against an evergreen backdrop. The Senegalese lake Retba's bright pink waves. The glassy, bright blue surface of Lake Louise in Alberta, which is encircled by enormous, rocky peaks on all sides, 3,000 feet down as the cascade plunges to the ground. The air is filled with the delicate white mist of Angel Falls. Ruby could practically hear the sounds of these distant places, including the thunderclap of the waterfalls, how the streams drip. She could feel the soft current of the Zion River pulling at her feet, or the mist of Angel Falls washing over her if she concentrated hard enough. Ophelia tickled the tip of her daughter's nose while removing a cattail from the lake's bottom. Around the world, this water provides nutrition and life to the plants that surround us. It supports the towering sequoias in Yosemite National Park and the stark white birch trees in Alaska. In Provence, France, it breathes new life into the fragrant lavender fields that reach to the horizon. In the wetlands of China and India, it offers a secure environment for the blossoming of pale pink lotus blooms. It supports the Joshua trees that bend and curve toward the sunny desert sky. The century-old oak trees that shade historic farms, the orange, poppy-coated mountains of California, the rolling green hills of Scotland, the ivy on brick buildings, and the lush vines and fig trees that grow deep within Brazilian rainforests. Ruby imagined rain pelting down on all those breathtaking vistas. She saw lavender flowers clinging to water droplets from a gentle drizzle and a Joshua tree swaying in a lovely desert monsoon. She could picture the land reaching its full potential as the rain fell on it. Before her eyes, a pink lotus blossom transformed from a seed in the dirt of a far-off marsh to a delicate, unearthly blossom. With its vivid crimson bark, a sequoia tree that had grown from a sapling to a skyscraper-tall tree loomed above her. Ophelia watched the awe spread across her daughter's face and grinned at her. How wonderful it is to watch someone else share your admiration for the planet. Circles of tension rippled across the smooth surface of the pond when a leaf that had been caught in the breeze fell on it. In an instant, a fish emerged from the pond's depths and quickly ingested the leaf. Animals may flourish on this amazing planet of ours because of the water and flora. There are currently billions of species on the planet that coexist peacefully with nature and one another. In Canada, a snowy owl soars over the night sky while paying close attention to the sounds made by the other animals in the forest. In grove of bamboo trees in China, a panda snoozes while the bamboo clinking overhead lulls it to sleep. A mule deer nuzzles its downy fawn while the two cuddle up in the sweetgrass at the foot of El Capitan, deep in Yosemite Valley. Humpback whales embrace the sensation of the current against their slippery skin as they plunge and spin across the Pacific Ocean off the coast of Alaska. As a gentle rain starts to fall and the scent of new earth permeates the air, a highland cattle tucked away on a farm in the Scottish Highlands shakes its thick, opulent coat. Macaws and parrots of many hues soar through the dense foliage of the rainforest, expanding their wings and enjoying the freedom that comes with being airborne. Herds of zebra band together in Africa as they traverse the plains, their colors changing and dancing in lovely patterns as they move in harmony. Snow leopards tiptoe across steep summits in the Himalayan winters, their fluffy tails following them through the snow. Despite having one of the shortest lifespans in the animal kingdom, dragonflies dance over the surface of lakes, on ponds, across Canada. The Greenland shark can live for up to 500 years in the murky depth to the east, far below the Arctic and Atlantic Oceans. Ruby peered down into the pond's shadowy depths beneath the dock. She couldn't help but imagine that her surface world may appear as far away as the Milky Way to the fish and frogs below. She pictured all of the drowsy creatures in the planet, curling up in their nests high in the treetops, hiding in tunnels, or hiding in vibrant anemones. Ruby put her head on her mother's shoulder and leaned over without giving it much thought. She was filled with a delightful sense of connection as she felt her mother's warm touch. Ruby whispered, "Thank you, Mom. This is nice. And aren't there folks experiencing similar things all around the world?" "You're right, my love. Siblings, parents, and grandparents are all bundled up in cozy beds, reading bedtime tales to one another. For the first time, some parents are holding their newborn in their arms. During candlelit dinners, couples are whispering their professions of love. Some poets use silky black ink on clean white paper to write the best verse of their lives. For loved ones, chefs prepare warm apple cobbler. People smiling as they leave their first day of work at their ideal job. Car enthusiasts enjoying the exhilaration of the wind as they drive along wide-open desert roads. The expanses of color that painters apply to canvases brighten the space with their vision. People are enjoying a nice cup of tea while sitting by bubbling streams and listening to the lovely sounds of the water as the ocean waves offer them the ride of their lives. Surfers glide across pristine sea. Scaling rock, climbers mountains of limestone and granite simply to get a completely different view of the globe. People may feel the warmth of the sand between their toes far away. Some people experience the warmth and coziness of a freshly laundered pair of pajamas as the sun slowly rises and paints the earth with its beams of light. People are drinking warm, steaming coffee and ice-cold lemonades in the summer sun. Ruby knew that this wonderful moment with her mother was more than enough. But she instantly wanted to do all of those things and experience all of those amazing emotions. Consider all of the clothing that people wear all throughout the world, including velvety coats, band t-shirts, silk robes, and wool pajamas. People are dressed in pinks, blues, greens, and blacks. Folks wearing polka dots and folks wearing monochromatic colors, individuals in stripes and plaid. These individuals are all heading in different directions, expressing anything through the way they dress and conduct themselves in public. Imagine all of the languages spoken around the world, and all of the people who are expressing the same idea in a variety of ways. The people beneath the Eiffel Tower are speaking French. The air in Kisumu's marketplaces and Nairobi's streets is getting warmer thanks to Swahili. There are people around us who share our desires and are looking for communication, love, and beauty in the world. We can all point to a single source for all of the incredible things we do. Ophelia gestured in a high, elegant arc toward the stars. Ophelia and Ruby sat on the dock's edge for a considerable amount of time without exchanging words. They paid close attention to the music of the night, including the owls, crickets, and the sporadic splash of fish beneath the pier. When the moment arrived, the two got up and started walking back through the forest without saying anything to one another. Ophelia doused the flames with a glass of water as they approached the dying blaze. There was space for a fresh fire the following night as the embers and flames sizzled as they turned into a gray pile of ashes. Ophelia and Ruby strolled back towards their white coastal cabin across the moon-soaked grass. Both of them inhaled deeply of the delightful night air. As they arrived at the front door, they caught one last glimpse of the sky above them, which was still so near that they thought they could touch it. They crept together across the twisted wood floor and into the final room on the left side of the hallway. Ruby slipped contentedly into her plush linen sheets. Her body was buried deep under the mattress, like waves of the ocean sweeping across a beach. A sense of calm and ease swept over her body. As her mother kissed Ruby once on the forehead, Ruby's eyes grew tired. "I cherish you," Ophelia declared. "I also love you," Ruby replied in a distant, dreamy voice. Ophelia went to her own room to have her own dreams, shutting the door behind. Her Ruby, however, couldn't bring herself to close those heavy eyes. With her eyes fixed intently on the sparkling stars outside her open window, she opened them one last time. With each blast of wind, she could smell the scents of the forest dancing into her apartment. She inhaled the aroma of distant ocean waves, dying flames, and pine needles. She closed her eyes and listened to nature's steady chirping once more. She was connected to the lovely world outside her window, even though she was cozy and comfortable in her bed. The woman in Patagonia, drinking her tea, was linked to everything, even here. The girl on the Florida beach, the pandas sleeping in bamboo forests, under freezing ocean waves, Greenland sharks swim. The rugged cliffs where the streams flowing far off valleys and rainforests. In the wetlands, lotus flowers are in bloom. The Milky Way is filled with asteroids and the moon. Naturally, Polaris, the star, is also visible. gleaming brilliantly from millions and millions of miles away. We are all bound to this space by gravity, which holds a spiraling ball of hydrogen and helium together. All of us live on a world that is connected to both space and nature. All of the elements that make up the Milky Way galaxy, the stars above us, the earth below us, and the water that falls from the sky and fills our lakes and rivers are pieces of the same puzzle. Ruby gradually saw that she was getting closer to falling asleep. As her body grew more at ease on the mattress, she embraced the comforting embrace of a restful night's sleep. She rubbed Softy's fur and pressed him closer to her chest, enjoying the solace he as well as all these fresh ideas brought. I hope my narrative has assisted you in discovering your own haven of relaxation, tranquility, and comfort. Please come back next night if you want more stories. Till then, have a wonderful dream, cosmic wonder, nearer to truth high, and welcome to the Sleep Stories on Soothing Pod. I'm Arif, and I'll be your guide as we set out on our cosmic adventure tonight. We shall sail across the enchanted reaches of space, dance with the stars, and discover answers to questions we may not have even known we had about space. But before we start, let's pause for a moment to relax and find solace in the present moment. Let your body sink into the mattress beneath you while you close your eyes. You don't have any obligations right now. No to-do list exists. Now that you're lying down and listening to my speech, your only objective is to let your body rest. Your thoughts will soon follow your body as we set off on this cosmic adventure together. For a brief moment, with those eyes still closed, I want you to visualize your ceiling covered by the Milky Way in its entirety. Stars, asteroids, and planets abound in this glistening, twinkling cosmic atmosphere. You can see the orange and yellow haze of Venus, the scarlet surface of Mars, and the silvery surface of Mercury, and Jupiter, the largest planet of all, a living marble of yellow clouds and stormy rust. Alongside it, Saturn revolves, its hazy surface continuously swirling with a mosaic of warm tones, and its beautiful gold rings tilted. Then you see Uranus, a sea of color that is vivid blue and constantly moving, surrounded by a canted ring. Neptune, which is so midnight blue that it genuinely makes you think of the god of the sea himself, is beyond that. Last but not least, Pluto, the small gray planet that appears to shimmer despite the sun's great distance from it, is at the very end. There is no denying the enchantment of the cosmos above you, and something even more beautiful starts to unfold as you watch the planets travel in their endless arc. Something starts to show through the black and purple exterior between the planets. It is arcing in nearly slow motion as it sails down toward you at a soft, unthreatening speed. There are several of these shooting stars. Along the way, they emit sparks that float in the air and vanish like embers, forming a screen of pinks, blues, purples, and oranges as they glide down toward you. A feeling of complete peace and tranquility is brought with you as the first shooting star touches your head and melts into your body. You experience a complete and thorough relaxation of any jumbled ideas you have been holding, leaving you with nothing but peace. Your entire body becomes more relaxed when your jaw loosens and your tongue slides out of your mouth. The other shooting stars then start to descend. They do so. They provide warmth to your arms and torso. Your arms, muscles loosen up, letting go of any stress they may have been holding all day. Your chest then follows suit as your lungs expand and more of this wonderful new air enters your chest. You notice that your breaths are getting a little deeper. As you sink deeper into your mattress with this renewed sensation of calm, your heart slows to a steady, comfortable rate. Any stress you may have been holding in your legs is then released as the shooting stars land on them. The mattress underneath you absorbs all of your aches and pains, making them vanish as if they had never been there. There is no experience like it. The shooting stars then continue to pour down as they melt into you and tap against you. They sprinkle all over your body and land against you with an ethereal, metallic ting. They also bring that feeling of serenity with them. Now that you have accepted them, the planets and stars above appear to shine a bit brighter, and as you look up at them, something unexpected changes in your surroundings. Now you are in the grass. It's a nice summer evening, the kind that transports you back to your carefree early years spent wandering across the countryside. The long, lush grass that is cushioning you as you run your hands over it invites you to become one with the planet. As the moon climbs higher and higher in the sky, the warmth of the grass against your skin reminds you that cooler hours are coming. Even though the summer air is buzzing with humidity, crickets can be heard chirping in the distance. They carefully create the symphony of summer evenings everywhere as they sing their song into the cosmos. The moon is moving toward a pond to the west of you. The polished surface reflects the crescent. Luna, nestled on the lily pads that line the coastline of this small forest sanctuary, peepers croak into the night air. You're gazing up at the sky with amazement. The night is clear. On a night like that, the planets and stars appear to be just a few inches away. You have the impression that you could reach out at any time and grasp the stars, gliding across the pitch-black void like your fingers through pond water. Celeste and Callum, twin children, are standing next to you. They are looking up at the sky with wonder, their eyes reflecting the vastness of the galaxy. You have been given the responsibility of keeping an eye on these cuties, and it is not at all difficult. These kids are inquisitive, well-behaved, and just want the universe to provide them with answers. They pose the questions that you have long since stopped asking, and that, whether you are aware of it or not, you still want. Answers to, what is the universe's age? Celeste chimes, her voice echoing in the atmosphere. You? Tell her that you don't remember. Though you can't remember the number, you're positive you've seen it in a textbook at some point. Telling her that it was made a very long time ago will satisfy her. Anyway, what are stars composed of? Callum stretches his arms out in an attempt to grasp them and asks. You assure him that it's either gas or stardust. It must be something along those lines. They keep asking questions, but not in a way that irritates you. Rather, they do so in a way that piques your interest. There are a lot of things you want to learn and a lot of things to know. After that, a miracle occurs. The night sky has a streak in it. It is a silver streak that is so brilliant that it appears to be glistening with enchantment. The children's lips open in astonishment as they sit up straight. What was that? They all inquire at once. You give them a smile since you are aware of their response. It's a shooting star, my dears. You anticipate that they will be satisfied with a response, but they follow up with another query. What are they made of? From where do they originate? They were created when? How are they able to come here? Deep within you, like a well that begs to be filled, are the sparks of curiosity. You lie there staring at the shooting stars as they descend one after the other for a long time. With such grandeur and beauty, they arc across the sky, leaving everyone speechless as they simply take in this lovely, magical moment. The twins. Parents praise you for your assistance when they finally come to pick them up. And you can't bring yourself to get up just yet as the twins leave. You return your attention to the sky and watch as an increasing number of shooting stars descend toward you. You ponder the queries they have posed regarding the specifics involved in this miracle our universe is that something above you catches your notice as you're wondering. A shooting star is what it is. However, it isn't arcing away from you across the sky. It appears to be growing in size and brightness. It paints the surrounding air in vivid, flaming reds, oranges, and whites as it streaks through the atmosphere. The shooting star appears to emit embers as it descends toward you in a flame. Then it plummets to the earth, just next to the pond. To your complete surprise, however, the touchdown doesn't rattle the earth. You stand up. A crater appears to have opened in the soft earth, and a stream floats up from the crash site. You are startled to hear someone yawning, as if they are waking up from a long, much-needed slumber as you creep toward the hole. Even more cautiously, you approach the hole until you're standing on the brink, the dirt collapsing beneath your feet. The hole the shooting star made had a woman resting in it. However, she's not like any woman you've ever seen. She is wearing a silver robe that has blue stars shining on its surface, with silver flecks scattered throughout that glitter in the moonlight. Her hair is as dark as the night sky. Her face is really lovely and delicate. Even in a circumstance as bizarre as this one, you feel totally at peace when she opens her eyes and smiles at you. "Who are you?" you inquire. After getting up and stretching with another yawn, the woman crawls out of the hole and holds out her hand to you. "My name is Stella," she declares. "You're a shooting star, then?" you inquire. "So, technically, I was a meteoroid, and now I am a meteorite," she adds. She leads you down into the pit while holding your hand. "Everything." The woman grins at you when you ask her where you're headed. "Well, space, naturally," she responds. There is a comfortable wooden capsule in the hole behind her. There is a soft blanket with stars on it inside. She says the adventure will be worthwhile and urges you to climb inside. You will have all the answers to the questions the children raised in your mind by the end of this earthly night. After inhaling deeply, you enter the capsule. Additionally, the door closes behind you as you do so, keeping you secure inside with the cozy pillows and blankets. The rich mahogany used for the capsule's walls soothes you and gives the bizarre experience an absolutely opulent vibe. Stella then carefully lifts her hand. You drift up out of the mud, sailing up into the sky alongside her like magic. You gaze in wonder as the entire world under you transforms. As you get higher and higher, the trees get smaller. The mountains that previously loomed over you have been reduced to jagged paintbrush strokes on the earthly canvas. The whole nation soon turns into a patchwork of deserts, meadows, mountains, and rivers. You just get up and leave the atmosphere. You can now see the entire earth when you look down, and it is the most breathtaking sight you have ever seen. Earth's blues and greens stand out against the pitch blackness of space. However, there are other colors in front of you. There are the untamed rusty hues of the deserts in China, Australia, the United States, and Africa, as well as the enchanted sepia tones of the Alps. Both the rich greens of alpine woods and the emerald greens of rainforests are present. The cottony veil of clouds, which float around the earth in fanciful patterns that appear too mystical to be true, is the most notable of these. When you eventually look away, Stella is grinning at you with knowledge. When you first see it in person, it's really lovely, isn't it? She adds, you to continue to gaze down at Earth for a moment, taking in its breathtaking beauty. How amazing that we are here at all. Next to you, there's a whoosh. A gray mass of what appears to be rock speeds past, directly toward the ground. You see, it ignites with a red, orange, yellow, and white aura as it starts to burn in the environment. Another whooshes by after that, then another. You are encountering a cosmic wonder head-on with each one. They are meteoroids. These are my siblings, Stella says with a smile. Silicon, oxygen, and heavier metals like iron and nickel make up the majority of meteoroids, which are lumps of stuff. They are extremely abundant and orbit the sun similarly to planets, asteroids, and comets. She is entirely correct, as you can see when you turn around. Thousands of meteoroids travel in arcs as they float across space. To your left, they are stunning, gleaming brilliantly as they reflect the sun's rays. Asteroids, which orbit the sun in an area known as the asteroid belt between the orbits of Mars and Jupiter, primarily collide to form meteoroids. When she snaps her fingers, you are abruptly transported to a completely different region of the cosmos. Mars, a small, dazzling, red planet that appears too real to be real, is to one side of you. Against the background of space, the rusty red planet stands out. Jupiter, the giant of the solar system, is on the other side of you. You can't take your eyes off the globe for a long time because it is so beautiful. Storm clouds surround Jupiter, swirling endlessly across its surface. These come in bands of color, including light, sandy tones, deep, dark reds, and bright golds that gleam as though they are made of millions and millions of diamonds. Additionally, hundreds of thousands of asteroids are passing by all around you. Stella smiles at you once more, pleased to see how much you care about her old house. Naturally, this is the asteroid belt. Here, the asteroids circle the sun, but occasionally they run into one another. Two asteroids smash close to you as she says this. They fracture into dozens of pieces as they break violently. The fragments tumble out of orbit and are now traveling in a completely new direction, which is toward Earth in the distance. The asteroids fragment into meteoroids as they collide. Additionally, these meteoroids travel through space until they are pulled toward the gravitational pull of a satellite or another planet. Your capsule starts to accelerate gradually as Stella leads you. You dip and dive over meteoroids, while flying with her. As you travel across the surface of Mars, you can see the rugged, hilly terrain below, a landscape that was sculpted over millions and millions of years by water. A landscape that is reddened by the soil's high iron content. As the two asteroids collide, you find yourself tracking the whirlpool of meteoroid debris that was produced. Additionally, you accelerate even more when the meteoroids get closer to Earth. Stella continues to explain while floating gracefully in front of you. Meteoroids go through the atmosphere of Earth quite quickly. They can move anywhere from 36,000 feet to 230,000 feet in a single second, depending on their size and makeup. They collide with air molecules in the high atmosphere at this speed, heating them to incandescence. Their fast velocity and occasionally the blazing material they leave behind also produce a streak of light. A meteor, sometimes known as a shooting star, is a visible meteoroid that passes through Earth's atmosphere. You look about you at the meteoroids hitting the ground. You sail close beside them, your eyes wide with wonder as they push through the atmosphere at high speed. Burning red hot, Stella adds, and the meteoroid will evaporate entirely if it is hot enough and small enough. As she finishes speaking, a meteoroid next to you vanishes, leaving a trail of hot gas in its wake. Like glitter, the gas gleams in the atmosphere. However, the meteoroid may land on Earth's surface if it is sufficiently heavy and its composition to withstand its ascent into the atmosphere. You can see the meteoroids in the distance, throwing up dust clouds as they land on the grassy area below. Additionally, a meteoroid turns into a meteorite when landing on Earth. As you observe people rushing from surrounding homes on the surface to explore these amazing meteorites that have now dotted the countryside, you nod in comprehension. Q. Slowly return to space, ascending through the atmosphere until you are once more gazing down at the luminous, spinning, living wonder that is Earth. However, how were the asteroids created? Where did they even come from? You ask. Stella smiles, happy to see that you're posing even more intriguing queries. She snaps her fingers again. This time, however, nothing exists. Stella, who is beaming and smiling comfortingly at you, is the only thing visible in the pitch-black emptiness. She shifts to the side, exposing a small, dazzlingly light spot in the shadows. You have to hide your eyes from it because it is so brilliant, but it is lovely, like a star. The cosmos started off as an inexplicably tiny, dense, and eternally hot point. Surrounded by emptiness, it resembled a supercharged black hole. Then, 13. It detonated 7 billion years ago. The small, dense point in front of you bursts with color and grows right in front of your eyes. However, you are unable to see your surroundings. This marked the beginning of the radiation era, which was divided into multiple smaller phases. The earliest tens of thousands of years of the universe's development were referred to as epochs. The event that gave rise to the known universe was soon followed by the first stage, known as the Planck epoch. Even the four fundamental forces that shaped the universe: gravity, electromagnetism, the weak nuclear force, and the strong nuclear force combined to form a single fundamental force, because the temperature and average energies in the universe were so high that ordinary subatomic particles could not form. Gravity and the electronuclear force split apart at the conclusion of the Planck era. Then came the Grand Unification Age, so called because of the three surviving unified forces of nature: electromagnetic, strong, and weak nuclear forces. When the powerful nuclear force split apart from the other two fundamental forces, this age came to an end. The inflationary epoch followed, during which time-space itself grew more quickly than light. It expanded from the size of an atom to that of a grapefruit in a single instant. The universe, which was still extremely hot but was beginning to cool, was packed with elementary particles. The electroweak period then came into being. At this point, the electromagnetic force and the weak nuclear force split apart. All of the universe's raw materials were present during the quark epoch, but there was still too much heat and density in the universe for anything to develop from them. When the cosmos eventually cooled enough for quarks to bond together and create hadron's composite particles like protons or neutrons, the Hadron epoch began. Every era that has been discussed thus far occurred approximately the Big Bang. Additionally, in the Lepton period, the protons and neutrons had come together to form hydrogen and helium nuclei after the first 3 minutes. The early universe had atomic nuclei, but it was still too hot for electrons to condense around them and create stable atoms. Light had a difficult time bouncing off the dense, electrically charged fog that formed the universe's matter. The cosmos, as we know it, started to take shape during the matter era. There are millions and millions of years in this age. At last, the universe cooled even farther, permitting the attachment of electrons to nuclei. As a result, neutral hydrogen was produced, which joined with helium to form atomic clouds that covered the entire cosmos. Atoms might gather in the pockets of gas in these clouds because of their strong gravitational pull. Something amazing occurs all around you as she talks about atomic clouds. You observe as misty clouds disperse over the pitch-black sky before you. After, grinning at your response, she goes on. The seeds that gave rise to galaxies started to form within those clouds and that group of atoms. and stars started to form as these seeds were sown. Stars appear before you as churning, scorching balls of gas that glow in such vivid hues that you find it hard to believe what you're witnessing. They cast a dazzling radiance on Stella. There are more than 100 billion stars in the Milky Way alone. Even if, on a clear night, we can only see roughly 6,000 of them from Earth. Additionally, astronomers estimate that there are 200 sextillion stars in the cosmos. Stella clarifies. A growing number of stars emerge from the clouds in front of you. They are all distinct gas mixtures that sparkle in different ways. Stella goes on to say, almost every other element in the cosmos was formed by the fire from these stars. They were genuinely responsible for planets becoming planets. Beside you, a star flowing across a cloud of gas, dust, and ice, flashing brilliantly, impossibly bright and expanding across the sky. Scientists once thought a star had erupted, upsetting a neighboring cloud. The more quickly this cloud swirled, the greater its gravity. Additionally, the cloud's gravity created planetesimals from its constituent elements. As more and more pieces were held together by gravity, these planetesimals grew larger and larger until they formed protoplanets. These protoplanets evolved into the planets we know today when the gravity increased. Around you, massive masses continue to enlarge until they turn into early precursors to the planets that we know today. You see how the planets themselves alter, and their colors change until they eventually resemble the planets in our current solar system. Jupiter, those whirling clouds in constant motion, looms next to you. Asteroids appear to be gathering around. You, scientists, think that because of Jupiter's enormous gravity, asteroids were stuck here. Jupiter's tremendous gravity would cause protoplanets to collide whenever they formed, shattering them back into asteroids. Many asteroids are imprisoned here by Jupiter's gravity, which prevents them from forming into anything bigger. Smash once again as they zoom past you. You find yourself pursuing a meteoroid with Stella by your side after it breaks off. Along with the meteoroid, you sail in the direction of Earth. As you cruise past Jupiter, you bid farewell to its breathtaking rings of gold, sand, and rust. Waving farewell to Mars' breathtaking, dazzling red surface, you glide beyond it. Then you start to get closer to Earth, which has never looked so stunning. Meteoroids all around you start to burn bright red, orange, and yellow as you travel into the atmosphere. You see a few of them burn up and vanish into a trail of gas. After that, you're drifting down toward the Earth. As you get closer, the mountains get bigger. The planet's stunning features, including its glades, canyons, and riverbeds, start to reappear, and the trees move gently in your direction. You are in a universe of blue. When you splash into the pond after landing on the ground, you are instantly released from the capsule and float to the top of the cool water. The moon, which you passed just minutes ago, has cast a silvery shimmer over the water's surface. As you emerge from the pond, you can hear the frogs and insects singing their song to the universe. You find yourself approaching Stella's landing spot, prepared to express your gratitude for sharing her expertise. You now understand the origin of the cosmos. You are familiar with shooting stars. You are aware of the number of stars. You also feel more at home here on Earth. However, you discover a meteorite buried in the ground in place of Stella. It feels warm to the touch and beats like a heartbeat when you pick it up. The emotion quickly wanes, and you realize it was Stella saying goodbye. You smile as you make your way home under the moonlight. You'll be seeing Celeste and Callum again tomorrow, and you'll have answers this time. I hope you found my sleep story entertaining and that it helped you have a quiet, comfortable night's sleep. Please join me for another sleep story tomorrow. Till then, have a wonderful dream.